All right, welcome everyone to another week of the True Detectives podcast. So get ready, because we've got a truly wild set of investigations lined up
Oh, yeah.
from the sources you sent in this week.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, we sifted through a ton of material to try and unpack, well, what might be fact and what's just, pure mystery.
Right.
But we're going to be diving deep into ritualistic killings, a faked death, but with like a really seriously deadly twist.
Oh, wow.
And some seriously bizarre happenings down on the farm this week.
Down on the farm, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm ready for a wild ride.
So buckle up. It's going to be fascinating.
I'm buckled. It's always so interesting to see what kinds of cases really catch people's attention,
Right.
And these three definitely have that like unsettling, unexpected quality. Each one pulls you into a very different world. But as we sort of explore them, you start to see some really fascinating underlying themes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's just jump right into our first investigation. We're calling this one Blood Ritual. And this one starts with a series of murders.
Yeah.
And right away you realize this isn't just your average everyday crime.
Right away. The initial crime scenes were so striking. Like the victims found in these circles, these deliberately arranged circles with symbols carved into their skin. It really suggests a level of ritual and intentionality that goes way beyond just simple violence.
Yeah.
And what the sources really highlighted was that this wasn't just some isolated event. There was an escalation in the nature and complexity of these acts. What do you make of that initial theatricality?
Well, it definitely sets a disturbing tone right from the start.
Yeah.
It really makes you think that this isn't just about ending a life, but it's about some kind of performance. Yeah. Like a twisted ceremony.
I mean, see.
And that's where Detective Blackwood comes in. He's not immediately reaching for the supernatural explanations.
Yeah.
But he recognizes the pattern.
Yeah.
This isn't random brutality. There's a chilling consistency to it, almost as if the killer's following some very specific instructions.
And that intuition pays off when they discover the fourth victim
Right.
at the old monastery.
Right.
That detail of the medieval manuscript found with the body, the symbols within it like directly mirroring those found on the victims.
Yes.
That's such a significant link.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes the case from just a series of gruesome murders into something potentially so much older and so much darker.
Exactly. And this is where the investigation takes a truly unsettling turn. Blackwood consults a historian, trying to make sense of the manuscript and the meaning behind these horrific acts.
Right.
And the historian's interpretation is, well, terrifying.
What was it?
Well, they're not just random symbols or acts of desecration. They appear to be steps in a ritual.
A ritual.
A sequence designed to unleash some kind of ancient entity.
What?
By breaking a seal. That's supposedly been in place for centuries.
That the source material really conveyed like the historian's alarm.
Right.
The sheer dread associated, with the idea of a gateway to chaos being open.
Right.
It really changes everything for Blackwood. I mean, he's no longer just tracking a killer. He's in a race against time to prevent something potentially catastrophic.
Right.
I wonder at that point, did he actually, fully believe what he was hearing, or was he just, following every lead?
That's a great question. I think there must have been some element of disbelief, but the evidence was really mounting. The connections were just too strong to ignore. So Blackwood's focus shifts entirely. It's no longer about apprehension. It's about disruption, stopping this incantation, preventing this ritual from reaching its terrifying climax. And his next lead doesn't come from conventional police work.
Oh, where does it come from?
It comes from local folklore.
Folklore?
Yeah, those age-old stories of a hidden subterranean chamber, the supposed site where the original sealing ritual took place.
That reliance on local legends is really fascinating, isn't it? It suggests that even in our modern world, these old stories, they can hold these grains of truth, these echoes of events long past. It also speaks to this idea that some knowledge is passed down through whispers and tales rather than official records.
And the description of Blackwood's descent into this chamber, the sources really paint a picture of oppressive darkness.
Yeah.
Almost tangible sense of unease. And the grotesque sigils covering the walls just amplify that dread. Yeah. And then finding the latest victim there. With the ritual clearly nearing completion, it must have been a truly chilling discovery.
The encounter with the hooded figure is such a pivotal moment. Blackwood's immediate reaction is to disrupt, not engage in some standard arrest.
Right.
It shows a real understanding of the danger, of the potential danger. kicking over the braziers, using the holy water. These are desperate actions born of a really desperate situation.
Yeah.
I mean, did you find it surprising that his first instinct wasn't to try and reason with the figure?
Not really. Not given the circumstances. You know, he's facing something that just seems to defy logic.
Yeah.
And so he resorts to more symbolic actions, hoping to just break the ritual's flow. And then the reveal, under the mask.
What was it?
It's a panicked teenager, just a kid.
A kid.
It completely flips the script, doesn't it?
It really does.
This isn't some ancient cult leader. It's a manipulated individual.
Yeah.
Someone clearly being used to further this terrifying agenda.
It highlights this really disturbing reality that even the most horrific acts can be orchestrated by those who prey on the vulnerable, twisting their fears, their beliefs for their own ends. This teenager becomes like this tragic example of how easily people can become pawns in something far beyond their comprehension.
But even with Blackwood's intervention, the ancient power isn't entirely contained. That earth tremor, that sickly green light, it's a clear indication that the ritual, even though it was interrupted, had a significant and terrifying effect.
Oh, no.
The entity is released.
Okay.
Blackwood's escape with the teenager must have been absolutely chaotic.
I bet.
The otherworldly howls, the ground shaking, that eerie green light, it creates such a vivid image of something truly ancient and malevolent being unleashed upon the world.
What do you think was going through Blackwood's mind in that moment?
I imagine pure survival,
Yeah.
but also this dawning realization of the scale of what he was now facing. And the aftermath is almost more unsettling in its normalcy.
In its normalcy.
Yeah, the news report's focusing on a natural disaster, a sinkhole, and the arrest of the teenager. A neat, explainable narrative for the public. But Blackwood knows the truth. The entity is out there. The murders were just the beginning, a means to a much more terrifying end.
He's left with this incredible burden, this secret knowledge that this supernatural threat exists and it's operating completely outside of the boundaries of the law. It's the classic setup of a lone figure battling forces that the rest of the world remains blissfully unaware of. You know, it really makes you wonder what his next move could possibly be.
It does leave you hanging. Okay, let's shift gears now to our second investigation.
Yeah.
The dead man's fee.
Oh, interesting.
This one takes us from the supernatural to something much more grounded, but with a twist that's just as jaw-dropping.
Okay, well, this case throws in a red flag right away, doesn't it? A wealthy businessman found dead from apparent overdose in a rundown hotel.
Right.
I mean, Detective Rossi's skepticism is totally justified. It just doesn't compute a billionaire in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
I mean, it just screams that something is seriously wrong.
It does.
What'd you make of that initial setting?
Well, it felt deliberately out of place, like a stage setting.
A stage setting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Rossi's instincts are proven correct. The autopsy reveals these unusual sedatives, which leads him down a very unexpected path to an underground clinic.
An underground clinic?
Yeah, catering to a very specific clientele with some unconventional requests.
So that's where the deception starts to unravel.
Yeah. The discovery that Wellington wasn't just seeking some kind of medical treatment, but was actually exploring ways to, well, shall we say, alter his perceived reality.
I see.
In a more permanent way.
Oh, wow.
The faking death package.
No, the faking death package.
It shifts the entire premise of the investigation.
So you think you're dealing with a suspicious death,
Yeah.
but it turns out the deceased was orchestrating his own disappearance.
It's wild, right?
Totally.
But it gets even more intricate when Rossi starts following the money.
By following the money.
Yeah, the hidden offshore accounts, the cryptocurrency, leading him to this shadowy figure on the dark web known only as the Undertaker.
The Undertaker. That introduction of the Undertaker injects a real sense of modern-day intrigue.
Right.
This isn't just a simple vanishing act. It's a meticulously planned event involving a third party who specializes in making people disappear completely.
Yeah.
And the dark web element just adds a layer of anonymity and danger to the whole scheme. What did you think of Wellington outsourcing his own disappearance like that?
Well, it speaks to a certain level of wealth and detachment, I think.
Yeah.
The ability to, to commodify even something as fundamental as your own death.
And the sting operation?
Oh, yeah.
Rossi posing as the grieving widow, trying to confirm Wellington's demise. And the Undertaker laying out all the details of this accidental drowning. It almost seems routine for him.
Yeah.
Which is chilling in itself.
Yeah.
But you're right, there's that crucial detail, the smugness in the Undertaker's voice.
Yes.
It's almost a subtle hint
It is.
that he believes he's in complete control.
Yeah.
Do you think Rossi picked up on that overconfidence?
Then the stage drowning, Wellington takes his boat out. Everything seems to be going according to plan. And then the explosion.
The explosion.
It's so much more significant than anyone anticipated. At this point, Rossi believes the plan has gone horribly wrong, that Wellington is actually dead, perhaps a victim of his own scheme.
That moment of apparent disaster is key to the impact of the real twist.
Is that?
Rossi, and by extension us as listeners, we're led to believe that the plan failed.
Yeah.
Which makes the reveal all the more shocking.
It does. And then, well, the rug is completely pulled out from under us.
What happened?
The Undertaker emerges from the waves, and it's Thomas Wellington himself.
Oh, way.
This incredible double bluff. He wasn't just faking his death. He was impersonating the very person he hired to orchestrate it, ensuring his disappearance was absolute.
It's a truly audacious plan. By becoming the orchestrator of his own supposed demise, Wellington creates the ultimate alibi.
Right.
Who would ever suspect
Yeah.
that the dead man was actually the one pulling the strings?
Right.
What do you think motivated him to take such an extreme risk?
I think it seems like a desperate attempt to escape something in his life.
Yeah.
To just erase his past.
Yeah.
But the look on Wellington's face when he sees Rossi,
What does it look like?
it's not the triumphant grin of someone who's outsmarted everyone.
Oh, okay.
It's pure terror. And Rossi realizes this crucial distinction. Faking your death might be one thing in the eyes of the law,
Yeah.
but staging your own murder
Yeah.
carries a whole different set of consequences.
The irony of the situation is just palpable. Wellington's elaborate scheme, designed to secure his freedom, ultimately leads to his capture. The fact that he was undone by the very success of his own deception is almost poetic.
It really is,
In
a twisted way.
Okay, let's move on to our final investigation.
All right.
Harvest of Lies.
Harvest of Lies.
This one takes us to a rural community grappling with some really bizarre and unsettling events.
This investigation has a completely different feel to it, doesn't it?
It does.
It shifts from individual deception and potential supernatural threats to this broader narrative of a community under siege. The initial reports of strange crop circles appearing overnight and these unexplained livestock deaths just immediately create this atmosphere of mystery and unease.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction to those reports? They definitely evoke that classic sense of the unexplained.
Yeah.
Detective Maddox arrives to find these incredibly precise geometric patterns in the fields.
Yeah.
Not just flattened crops, but evidence of scorching, hinting at some kind of advanced technology.
Interesting.
And then you have the livestock deaths, these clean, almost surgical incisions, the removal of organs. It's deeply unnatural and unsettling.
The juxtaposition of the local rumors, UFOs, government conspiracies, with Maddox's more grounded, investigative approach, sets up an interesting tension, don't you think?
I do.
He's not dismissing the strangeness, but he's clearly looking for a more tangible explanation.
Yeah, and his investigation leads him to Mavi's Diner,
Vivi's Diner.
Okay.
which sounds like the, quintessential small-town hub,
Right.
where all the local gossip and information flows.
Ah, I see.
And it's there that he starts hearing these murmurs about Green Corps.
Green Corps.
Yeah, this really powerful agribusiness company that has a big presence in the area.
The introduction of a large corporation like Green Corps immediately raises suspicions, doesn't it?
It does.
They represent this powerful entity with the resources and potentially the motive to be involved in something like this. The comments about them promising progress, but maybe having a less benevolent impact on the local farming community, it hints at a possible conflict of interest.
And Maddox's deeper dive into Green Corps reveals this complex network of shell companies and patents for some really cutting-edge technology.
What kind of technology?
So experimental crop treatments and really sophisticated drone delivery systems. And it starts to paint this picture of a company with the technological capability to create both the crop circles and potentially inflict that kind of damage seen on the livestock.
So the horrifying realization that Maddox comes to,
Yep.
that the crop circles might be, demonstrations of power, like a warning, a flexing of technological muscle, and that the livestock deaths are deliberate, a way to intimidate farmers into becoming dependent on Green Corps solutions. It's a chilling example of how corporate power can be used and abused.
It's a really disturbing thought, yeah.
Yeah.
But just when it seems like this small community is facing this insurmountable force,
Yeah.
we're introduced to Billy.
Billy.
Yeah, Matey's tech-savvy nephew.
Oh, okay.
His hobby with drones unexpectedly becomes a crucial tool in uncovering the truth.
Billy really represents the ingenuity and the spirit of resistance within the community. His ability to use technology to fight back against a much more technologically advanced adversary is a fantastic element of the story. That footage he captures of the unmarked drones targeting the livestock with these searing beams, that provides the undeniable evidence that Maddox needs.
That confrontation between Maddox and Green Corps' CEO must have been incredibly tense.
I bet.
Maddox, armed with the concrete visual evidence and the company's own patents, directly accusing them of what essentially amounts to corporate terrorism.
Well,
it's a really powerful moment of a local detective holding this huge corporation accountable.
so while the immediate cessation of these strange events, the crop circles disappearing, the livestock deaths stopping, that might seem like a victory for the community. But Maddox is understanding that Green Corps has most likely only been pushed back, not truly defeated.
Right.
It highlights the ongoing nature of these kinds of struggles against these powerful interests.
But the community has been changed.
Yeah.
Maeve's Diner becomes more than just a place to eat. It's a symbol of their collective defiance.
Yeah.
A hub for sharing information and mutual support. And that final scene with Billy giving Maddox the old crop sprayer, the symbol of traditional farming, and then using his drone to create that defiant message in the cornfield. It's such a powerful image of their refusal to be intimidated.
That final act of rebellion, that visual and symbolic gesture, it perfectly encapsulates the spirit of the community. It's a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming power, ingenuity, solidarity, and a bit of creative defiance can make a really significant difference.
Yeah, Maddox's laughter at the end signifies a renewed sense of hope, right?
Yeah.
A recognition that while the fight may not be over, the community is now united and ready to face it.
Yeah.
So there you have it, 3 investigations packed with twists, ancient supernatural forces, deadly deceptions, and the resilience of a community facing modern-day threats, all sparked by the fascinating sources you sent our way. What did you find most compelling about these stories? Which investigation left you with the most wondering questions? And in a world where it can be so difficult to separate fact from fiction, what do you think is the most important thing to hold on to? Keep those incredible sources coming, because the more we investigate, the more there is to uncover. Make sure to rate and follow the True Detectives podcast for more deep dives into the unexpected.